ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير. ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين واعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير. وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير. إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما أنزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير. وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير. إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل
Muhammad. MashaAllah, Brother Adnan. Now, Brother, would like to have Brother Zuhair come up and read Hadith Kissa. Salawat wa Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
Salawat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربي زدني علما. Fatima al-Zahra, the daughter of the Prophet, peace be on them, is to have thus related an event. My father, the Prophet of Allah, came to my house one day and said to me, "Peace be on you, Fatima." I replied, "And upon you be peace." Then he said, "I feel weakness in my body." I said, "Allah protects you from weakness, father." He said, "Fatima, please bring the Yamni cloak and cover me with it." So I brought the Yamni cloak and covered him with it. Then I looked at him and saw that his face was shining like a full moon with its glory and splendor. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. After a while, my son Hassan came in and said, "Peace be on you, mother." I replied, "And upon you peace, O light of my eyes and the delight of my heart." He then said, "Mother, I smell a fragrance so sweet and so pure as that of my grandfather, the Prophet of Allah." I replied, "Yes, your grandfather is lying underneath the cloak." Hassan went near the cloak and said, "Peace be on you, my grandfather, the Prophet of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you?" He replied, "And upon you peace, my son, and the master of my fountain. You are given the permission to enter." So Hassan entered the cloak with them. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. After a while, my son Hussein came in and said, "Peace be on you, mother." I replied, "And upon you, peace, O light of my eyes and the delight of my heart." He then said, "Mother, I smell a sweet fragrance like that of my grandfather, the Prophet of Allah." I replied, "Yes, your grandfather and your brother are lying underneath the cloak." Hussein stepped towards the cloak and said, "Peace be on you, my grandfather, the chosen of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you?" He replied, "And upon you, peace, my son and the interceder of my followers. You are given the permission to enter." So Hussein entered the cloak with them. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. After a while, Abul Hasan Ali bin Abi Talib, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, came in and said, "Peace be on you, O daughter of the Prophet of Allah." I replied, "And upon you, peace, O father of Hassan and the commander of the faithful." He then said, "Fatima, I smell a sweet fragrance like that of my brother, my cousin, the Prophet of Allah." I replied, "Yes, he is underneath the cloak with your two sons." So Ali went near the cloak and said, "Peace be on you, Prophet of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you?" He replied, "And upon you, peace, my brother, my legatee, my successor, and my standard bearer. You are given the permission to enter." So Ali entered the cloak with them. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Then I stepped forward and said, "Peace be on you, my father, O Prophet of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you?" He replied, "And upon you, peace, my daughter, O part of myself. You are given the permission to enter." So I entered the cloak with them. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Getting together underneath the cloak, my father, the Prophet of Allah, held at two ends of the cloak and raised his right hand towards the heavens and prayed, "O Allah, these are the people of my household, Ahlul Bayt. They are my confidants and my supporters. Their flesh is my flesh and their blood is my blood. Whoever hurts them hurts me too. Whoever displeases them displeases me too. I am at war with those at war with them. I am at peace with those at peace with them. I am the enemy of their enemies, and I am the friend of their friends. They are from me, and I am from them. O Allah, bestow your blessings, benevolence, forgiveness, and your pleasure upon me and upon them, and remove impurity from them, and keep them thoroughly pure." Then the Lord Almighty Allah said, "O my angels, O residents of my heavens, verily I have not created the erected sky, the stretched earth, the illuminated moon, the bright sun, the rotating planets, the flowing seas, and the sailing ships, but for the love of these five lying underneath the cloak." Jibreel, the trusted angel, asked, "Who are under the cloak?" The Almighty answered, "They are the household of the Prophet and the assets of prophethood. They are Fatima, her father, her husband, and her two sons." Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Jibreel said, "O Lord, may I fly to earth to be the sixth of them?" Allah replied, "Yes, you were given the permission." Jibreel, the trusted, landed near them and said, "Peace be on you, O Prophet of Allah. The All-Highest conveys his peace on you and his greetings and says, By my honor and glory, O my angels, O residents of my heavens, verily I have not created the erected sky, the stretched earth, the illuminated moon, the bright sun, the rotating planets, the flowing seas, and the sailing ships, but for your sake and love. God has given me permission to enter with you. May I join you, O Prophet of Allah?" The Prophet replied, "And peace be on you, O trusted bearer of Allah's revelations. You are granted the permission." So Jibreel entered the cloak with us. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And said to my father, "Allah sends his revelations to you. Verily Allah's desire is to remove blemish from you, O people of household Ahlul Bayt, and purify you with a perfect purification. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad." The Prophet then Ali said to my father, "O Prophet of Allah, tell me, what significance has Allah given for getting together underneath this cloak?" The Prophet replied, "By him who rightfully appointed me a prophet and chose me a messenger for the salvation of the mankind. Whenever and wherever an assembly of our followers and friends mention this event, Allah will bestow on them his blessings and mercy. Angels will encircle them, asking Allah the remission of their sins until the assembly disperse." So Ali said, "Verily by the Lord of Kaaba, we and our followers are the winners. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad." So Ali said, Then my father replied, by him who rightfully appointed me a prophet and chose me a messenger for the salvation of the mankind, whenever and wherever an assembly of our followers and friends mention this event, there shall remain none grieved, but Allah will remove his grief. There shall remain none distressed, but Allah will dispel his distress. There shall remain none wish-seeker, but Allah will grant his wish. Ali happily said, verily by the Lord of Kaaba, we and our followers are the winners and the blessed, in this world and the next. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. MashaAllah, good job, Zahir. Now I'd like to request Brother Wasi to come up for a short salam. Salawat wa Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صلوات صل على etched on the heart, on the lips of every Shia, reverberating near and far. Tasbih of Fatima Zahra. Salutations on you, O 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 Zahra. میدونم که راز شهادت این اشکام رنگ خدا میگیرم من با تسبیحات حضرت زهرا. Allahu Akbar, your nobility. Allahu Akbar, your humility. Allahu Akbar for Ahl Kisab. You are a cradle of tranquility. Allahu Akbar in همه جلال. Allahu Akbar in همه شکوه. Allahu Akbar در راه علیم. فاطمه استاده مثل یکوم. Sallallahu alayka Fatima. Sallallahu alayka Fatima. Sallallahu alayka Fatima. Sallallahu alayka Fatima. Alhamdulillah, cradle to grave. Alhamdulillah, how much you gave. Alhamdulillah, on Judgment Day. May I be one of those whom you save. Alhamdulillah ke nokartam. Alhamdulillah ke madarami. Alhamdulillah ke az bakshi kiyam. مادر سایه روح سرمیم. Salutations on you, O Zahra. Sallallahu alayka Fatima. Salutations on you, O Zahra. Sallallahu alayka Fatima. Salawat.
Muhammad, mashallah, Wasid. Jazakallah. Before we call up Maulana, I have a small request. Everyone, please stand up and come towards the member and fill this side up first. Please kindly do that so we have more room for those who are coming late. Yeah, please fill up this side first. So yesterday we ran out of room. So please kindly fill up this side first so we have some room for others who come a little bit later. Sisters as well, we were told that everything was filled up, so if you need to use this space as well, because it's going to get filled up all the way to the back. So kindly use this space, no one's here, so please take advantage of this and use this space that's open here. We do have a couple of slots that are still available for sponsoring any majlises post Ashura. If you're interested, you can see Brother Ghulam Abbas, myself, or Brother Hussein Jafri, or Sister Tayzeen. We're happy to give you details for sponsoring a majlis. Now, without further ado, I'd like to request Sheikh to take the member. Salawat wa Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. A second salawat for the love of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. For the hastening of the reappearance of the Imam of our time, a third salawat in the loudest of your voices. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة. يا ليتنا فيا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. قال تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: وإذ جعلنا البيت مثابة للناس وأمنا واتخذوا من مقام إبراهيم مصلى. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Respected elders, my dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The period of Imam Zainul Abidin's imamah was a tumultuous period. The Imam alayhi salam witnessed significant innovations that were introduced by the ruling class. The Imam alayhi salam, whether he is recognized as an imam or not, his primary function is to guide the people. And he never relinquishes this responsibility. Whether he has political power or not, the Imam alayhi salam's mandate from Allah Azza wa Jal is that he has to guide the people and challenge whatever religious innovations are being introduced in a way that he deems fit. And this is something that the Quran reminds us of. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the principal duties of divine leaders, Allah says, وَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا. And we made from among them imams, leaders who guide by our command. Now, when you examine this period of Islamic history, you find that there are a number of significant bid'ah, innovations that become normalized, that are introduced. Among them is the institutionalization of the cursing of Ali ibn Abi Talib during Friday prayer. This was a state-sponsored initiative that was introduced by Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. By the time that Imam Zainul Abidin assumed the active role of imam, that practice had been fully institutionalized, whereby if you were to attend Salat al-Jumu'ah in virtually any part of the Islamic empire, the khatib would end the Friday sermon asking the congregates to supplicate together and deprive Ali and the family of Ali from divine mercy. And this is perhaps one of the reasons why Imam Zainul Abidin, in his famous sermon in Sham, he focuses primarily on the virtues and the merits of Amir al-Mu'mineen. You see, you would imagine that Imam, if he's given a platform and he's a captive, you would imagine that in his khutbah, he would have said, "You did this to my father in Karbala. You looted his body, you massacred his family." But you find that the Imam actually doesn't do that. He dedicates a small segment of his khutbah to what transpired in Karbala, but he dedicates the lion's share of his khutbah highlighting the virtues of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Why? This was his way of countering decades of state-sponsored propaganda. Secondly, the Imam alayhi salam was highlighting that in Karbala, the motivation behind the killing of Imam al-Hussein was not that he was Imam al-Hussein. The reason why the Umayyads mobilized their forces to fight Imam al-Hussein and to ultimately kill Imam al-Hussein is because he is the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib. In fact, when Imam al-Hussein on the day of Ashura, when he asked them, why are you fighting me? What have I done to deserve this type of violence? They said, نُقَاتِلُكَ بُغْضًا لِأَبِيكَ. We are fighting you because of our enmity to your father. You see, the Umayyads during the pre-Islamic era, they were the ruling class. They enjoyed privileges. Islam completely changed the social order. Islam came and said the Ethiopian slave is equal to the Arabian aristocrat. And the man who ensured that Islam will remain until Yawm al-Qiyamah is Ali ibn Abi Talib. So they had this enmity towards Ali. But Ali had left this world. They emptied their vitriol that they had for Ali ibn Abi Talib on Imam al-Hussein and his family. And hence Imam Zainul Abidin in Sham, what does he do? He teaches the people of Sham that the man that you were raised to hate is in fact the gate to the city of knowledge. The man who you were brainwashed to despise is the only man who will take you to the authentic sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this was one of the innovations, the institutionalization of the cursing of Ali ibn Abi Talib. The second bid'ah was the manufacturing of hadith for political purposes. During the era of Imam Zainul Abidin, the Umayyads hired narrators of hadith to manufacture and forge hadith, elevating Muawiyah and the Umayyads and diminishing the virtues of Ali and the family of Ali. So you find that Imam Zainul Abidin and the subsequent Imams of Ahlul Bayt, they begin training their followers on how to differentiate between an authentic hadith and a fabricated hadith. This was among the bid'ah of the time. A third innovation was what we mentioned last night, and that is the promotion of fatalism. This doctrine that whatever happens in life is the doing of God. That God is the one who creates human action. And hence Ibn Ziyad, when he looked at Zainul Abidin and he asked him, who are you? Why are you still alive? Your name is Ali ibn al-Hussein. I thought Allah killed Ali ibn al-Hussein in Karbala. So they were promoting this idea that whatever happens, it's not our fault. Everything has been predetermined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you find that in Sahif al-Sajjadiyya, the Imam focuses a lot on divine justice. This was his way of countering that bid'ah. Another bid'ah that was introduced by the Umayyads is that they took the Khilafah and they transformed it into an absolute monarchy. Something that was hereditary. This was a departure even from the first generation of Muslims. And hence Imam Zainul Abidin in Sahif al-Sajjadiyya, when he speaks about Khilafah and Imamah, he describes it as a position that is divinely ordained. You see, when you study the life of Imam Zainul Abidin, with the understanding, with this context, his actions become very strategic. The Imam is not just engaging in dua, it is targeted dua. strategic efforts to undo the innovations that had been introduced. Another bid'ah that was introduced by the Umayyads is the extravagant lifestyles of the rulers. This is something that was a departure even from the earlier khulafa. Now, even though we have our reservations about the earlier khulafa, they were at least accessible to the people. We have narrations about how Umar ibn al-Khattab used to walk around in the marketplace. He used to physically discipline people who he felt were violating the Sharia. So the earlier khulafa, they lived relatively simplistic lives compared to the Umayyads. The Umayyads were building massive palaces. They were living lives of luxury to the point where the average citizen had no access to the ruler. The ruler was just a figurehead that people would hear about. This was another bid'ah that was introduced. And then you have a parallel structure that the Imam is creating where he's the Imam who's delivering food to the fuqara. You see the contrast? And then you have another bid'ah that was occurring during the time of Imam Zainul Abidin. And that is public spectacle of violence. You see, in the past, political enemies were killed and it was finished. The Umayyads used to display terror. They are the ones who used to parade severed heads. They are the ones who would engage in public crucifixions. Why? This was part of their terror campaign to crush any ideas of rebellion and revolution. So you have these displays of state terror. And alongside this, Imam Zain al-Abidin articulates Risalatul Huquq. So you see, everything that the Imam does is strategic. Everything that he's doing is to undo these innovations. Another bid'ah that we see during this period is the promotion of Arab ethno-supremacy. The Umayyads, they would distinguish between the Arab and the non-Arab. If you read in the books of history, you will find that the Umayyads would make non-Arabs pay higher taxes. This is very different from the Islam that the Prophet taught. If you were a military officer, if you were a soldier in their army and you were non-Arab, you would receive a smaller military stipend. You had fewer political opportunities if you were Ajam, if you were non-Arab. You find Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, many of his students, in fact one of his primary students was a man by the name of Abu Khalid al-Kabuli from Kabul, modern day Afghanistan. So the Imam alayhi salam, he was surrounding himself by both Arabs and non-Arabs. Some of his best students were non-Arab. Again, shattering this idea of Arab ethno-supremacy. Now among the bid'ah of the time was the political control of religious scholars. You see, Bani Umayyah understood that although they despise ulama, at the end of the day, you need scholars to legitimize your authority. And hence, the Umayyads, they would reward ulama who were compliant with state policy. They would reward scholars who would acquiesce. We have a narration that one of the ulama by the name of Az-Zuhri, he was one of the tabi'een, and by the way, he was a court scholar for the Umayyads. And much of Islamic history was written by him. That's why it's very important that when we read Islamic history, we ask who is writing it and under whose patronage is he writing. Az-Zuhri was a scholar, a very learned man, but he enjoyed proximity to political power. Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, in one of his statements, he actually rebukes Az-Zuhri. What does he say? He says to him, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ أَدْنَى مَا كَتَمْتَ وَأَخَفَّ مَا احْتَمَلْتَ أَنْ آنَسْتَ وَحْشَةَ الظَّالِمِ. Imam Zainul Abidin, he says to Az-Zuhri that, "O Zuhri, you are a government employee. You are a scholar who is being used as a pawn by the Umayyads. Let me tell you, O Zuhri, that the smallest crime that you have committed in the sight of God is that you have made the oppressors feel comfortable. You have given company and comfort to Zalimin. This is the smallest crime, let alone all of the other religious rulings that you have given them to legitimize their authority and their violence." Now, among the greatest innovations that occurred during the life of Imam Zainul Abidin was that one of the Umayyad caliphs 1 year announced that he wanted to change the location of Hajj from Mecca to Jerusalem. Now, in order to understand what this innovation was all about, we have to take a step back to have the full picture. After the death of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, there were 3 figures in the Islamic world that posed a threat to the government of Yazid. And Muawiyah had given his son counsel. He had warned him that I am going to appoint you as the Khalifa, but there are certain people that you're going to have to deal with who are political opponents that you need to be aware of. Among them was Imam al-Hussein. Imam al-Hussein is going to be a fierce opponent. He is not going to recognize your authority. So you have to keep that in mind. He is someone who is a threat to your power, so you have to do everything within your ability to secure bay'ah from him. Second is Abdullah ibn Zubayr. Abdullah, the son of Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. Zubayr was one of the leading Sahaba. He's one of the veterans of the early wars of Islam. He's also going to be someone who is difficult because he has social prestige. He sees himself as more deserving of the Khilafah than you. So he is another political opponent that you have to deal with. And number 3 is Abdullah ibn Umar. Abdullah, the son of the second caliph. But with him, you don't have to worry. If you put a little bit of pressure on him, he'll give bay'ah. Now we know that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he refused to give allegiance and he was ultimately martyred. Abdullah ibn Zubayr decided to resist against the government of Yazid. He refused bay'ah and he went to Mecca to build his opposition party. And he was quite successful because he had celebrity status. He's the son of this great Sahabi. He comes from a prominent family. So he was able to rally a lot of support in Mecca, outside of Mecca, to the point where his network stretched to even parts of Iraq. Now, after the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, he lived under 5 Umayyad rulers. The first, of course, was Yazid ibn Muawiyah. after Yazid, his son Muawiyah, Yazid had a son, Muawiyah, he was appointed as Khalifa after Yazid. But he abdicated the throne after 6 months because he says, I don't want to sit on a throne that was used to oppress the family of the Prophet. So he abdicated. And the rule of the family of Abu Sufyan came to an end. The martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein, it literally ended the rule of Al-Abi Sufyan. The third Umayyad caliph that rose to power was Marwan ibn al-Hakam. So he's also an Umayyad, but from a different family. Marwan ibn al-Hakam, who was he? He was the son-in-law of Uthman ibn Affan. This man was obscenely wealthy. He became very wealthy during the Khilafah of Uthman. Uthman was very easily influenced by his relatives, and the historical accounts mention that Uthman basically gave him the tax revenue of North Africa straight in his pocket. Marwan ibn al-Hakam, this is a man who told the governor of Medina, if Hussein doesn't give bay'ah, behead him. These are the types of people. Marwan ibn al-Hakam, he basically rules for about a year, and his son then comes to power, Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, he used to frequent the masjid. He used to spend a lot of time in the masjid. So much so that people gave him a nickname. They used to call him Hamamatul Masjid, the dove of the mosque. Have you been to some of these masajid who have the courtyards? You see these doves? They would say, he's like the dove of the masjid. He's always there. When his father passed away, and they came to him and they told him that you are now the Khalifa. The historical reports say that he was reading Quran in the masjid. When they told him you are now the Khalifa, he closed the Quran, he kissed it, and he said, هَذَا فِرَاقٌ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكَ. He closed the Quran and say, now this is the time to say goodbye. So this shows you that praying, going to masjid is not necessarily an indicator of piety. Some of the most ruthless people in Islamic history, they would come to masjid, they would pray. That's not an accurate indicator of piety. Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, he ruled for 21 years. 21 years. After him, you have his son, Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik, who rules for 10 years, and he is the one who ends up poisoning Imam Zainul Abidin. Now, who is the one who made the decision that we should change Hajj from Mecca to Jerusalem? It was Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, the one who ruled for 21 years. Now, you might say, why? Why would someone come up with something so crazy to say, let's move Hajj from Mecca to Jerusalem? This guy was probably the first Zionist in Islamic history. So why is that? Because Hajj is a very strategic city. People from all around the Islamic empire, they come for pilgrimage, for Hajj and Umrah. And Abdullah ibn Zubayr, he was using that strategic location to recruit people to join his movement. So Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, he's now afraid that if people from Sham and people from Egypt, if they go for Hajj, they might be influenced by the anti-government propaganda. So he makes an announcement that starting this year, the people of Sham and the people of Egypt, they will do their Hajj in Jerusalem. And he is the one who authorizes the construction of the Dome of the Rock. Qubbat al-Sakhra, if you go, you find that it was built by Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. And for a short period, some of the people of Sham and Egypt, they would do their Hajj rituals in Jerusalem. They would do tawaf around the Dome of the Rock. They would offer their qurbani in Jerusalem. So this is a major bid'ah. What does Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam do to confront this? لا بصلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Yes, there's a request for the brothers to move forward. If you can all rise up, take a few steps forward. رحم الله من ذكر القائم من آل محمد. ثانية على حب الحسن والحسين. For the love of Imam Zainul Abidin, a third salawat in the loudest of your voices. So now Imam Zainul Abidin is confronted with this major innovation where people are starting to turn towards Jerusalem for Hajj. When you look at the hadith literature that we have, you find that we have many ahadith from Imam Zainul Abidin where he speaks about the virtues of the city of Mecca. Now, without this context, you would think that the Imam is just arbitrarily speaking about Hajj and Mecca. But when you understand that there was a concerted effort to divert people from Mecca, you understand that when the Imam was speaking about Mecca, it was in this context, to restore the prestige of Mecca in the eyes of the Muslims. So for example, among the ahadith that we have from Imam Zainul Abidin, you can find it by in Kitab al-Mahasin by al-Barqi. Imam al-Sajjad, he said, "An-na'imu bi Makkah kal-mutashahhit fil buldan." Imam al-Sajjad, speaking about the merits of Mecca, he says the one who sleeps in Mecca is like the one who is struggling in the way of Allah in other cities. Restoring Mecca in the eyes of the Muslims. Sheikh al-Saduq in Man La Yahduruhu al-Faqih, he quotes Imam al-Sajjad saying, "Man khatama al-Qur'an bi Mecca," whoever recites the entire Qur'an while they are in Mecca, لم يمت حتى يرى رسول الله ويرى منزله في الجنة. Whoever recites the Quran when they are in Mecca, they will not leave this world until they see Rasulullah. And they will see their place in Jannah. So Imam Zainul Abidin, you can imagine that his way of countering this bid'ah is that he reminds people of the sanctity of Mecca. Another narration that we have in Wasa'il al-Shia, al-Sheikh al-Hurr al-Amili, he says Imam Zainul Abidin, he also said, "At-ta'imu bi Mecca kas-sa'imi fima siwaha." The one who eats in Mecca is like the one who fasts in other cities. Now, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, not only did he speak about the virtues of Mecca, the narrations say he went for Hajj more than 20 times. Sometimes he would go on a camel, and other times he would go on foot. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyab, he says that every year the Qurra of Medina, the master reciters of the Quran, those who would memorize and teach the Quran, they would all wait for Imam Zainul Abidin to begin his journey to Mecca. And he says when he would come out of his house and he would prepare his journey for Hajj, we would all join him, and 1,000 master reciters of the Quran, they would join him on his way to Hajj. So the Imam alayhi salam, he put great effort to ensure that mu'mineen do not lose sight of the value of Mecca. Believe me, brothers and sisters, if it wasn't for Imam Zainul Abidin, half of Muslims would be doing Hajj in Jerusalem today, and the other half would be doing it in Mecca. Every Muslim owes a debt of gratitude to Zainul Abidin for literally saving Hajj. It is narrated that one year Hisham ibn Abdul Malik went for Hajj. Hisham ibn Abdul Malik is the prince. His father is the Khalifa. It was during Hajj season, and because he is the prince is not going to travel alone. He's going to be surrounded by an entourage. He has his bodyguards. The narration says that Hisham ibn Abdul Malik, when he entered Masjid al-Haram, it was crowded. And he requested from his bodyguards to escort him to Hajar al-Aswad so that he could kiss Hajar al-Aswad. But the crowd was too big, and they were not able to escort him to the Black Stone. They tried to push and shove. They would announce, the crown prince has arrived, but people are doing their a'mal. No one really cares to make way for Hisham ibn Abdul Malik. So he gives up, and they set a tent for him away from the Kaaba, and he sits there with his entourage, and they're just observing the Hajjaj. After a short while, Imam Zainul Abidin enters Masjid al-Haram. When Imam al-Sajjad entered Masjid al-Haram, he walked towards Hajar al-Aswad, and the crowds parted for him. He had no bodyguards. He had no entourage. The kids would probably call it, the Imam was aura maxing, right? So as he was walking, the crowd parted for him like the Red Sea parted for Musa alayhi salam. And he makes his way to Hajar al-Aswad. This is Zainul Abidin. He makes his way to Hajar al-Aswad effortlessly. Some of the bodyguards, they ask amongst themselves, who is this man? We couldn't even get the prince to touch Hajar al-Aswad. Who is this man? Some of the bodyguards did not know who Imam al-Sajjad was. But Hisham ibn Abdul Malik, he knew who he was. And when they asked him, "Oh prince, do you know that man?" He pretended not to know Imam Zainul Abidin. Farazdaq, who is one of the great poets of Ahlul Bayt, he was an earshot away from the prince. And he heard him deny that he knew Zainul Abidin. So Farazdaq, he goes to him and he says, "You don't know him? If you don't know him, I'll introduce him to you." He stood there and composed one of the most epic poems in Islamic history. He stood there in front of the crowd and he said, "هذا الذي تعرف البطحاء وطأته والبيت يعرفه والحل والحرم." This is the man who the entire valley of Mecca knows. هذا الذي تعرف البطحاء وطأته والبيت يعرفه والحل والحرم. Oh Hisham, you don't know him. The Kaaba knows who this man is. The Kaaba that you were trying to touch recognizes who this man is. هذا الذي تعرف البطحاء وطأته والبيت يعرفه والحل والحرم هذا ابن خير عباد الله كلهم هذا التقي النقي الطاهر العلم. You don't know him? He is the son of God's greatest creation. He is the pure, the pristine, the pious. هذا ابن فاطمة إن كنت جاهله بجده أنبياء الله قد ختموا. You don't know him, O Hisham? This is the son of Fatima. This is the son of Fatima. His grandfather was the seal of all prophets. وَلَيْسَ قَوْلُكَ مَنْ هَذَا بِظَائِرِهِ. O Hisham, you pretending not to know him does not diminish his status. الْعُرْبُ تَعْرِفُ مَنْ أَنْكَرْتَ وَالْعَجَمُ. The Arab and the non-Arab know who that man is. And then what does he say? He makes a comment that insults Hisham. He hits him where it really hurts. He says, لو يعلم البيت من قد جاء يلثمه لخر يلثم منه ما وطى القدم. He says, Hisham, this Kaaba that you were trying to touch, this Hajar al-Aswad that you were trying to kiss, if the Kaaba and Hajar al-Aswad knew who was approaching it, the Kaaba would have fell to the ground and kissed the feet of Zainul Abidin. Hisham, he looks at Farazdaq. He says, Farazdaq, usually the poets, they praise their caliphs. I've never heard you praise my father or my family. Farazdaq says, هات جدا كجده وأبا كأبي وأما كأمي أقول فيك ما قلت فيه. Oh Hisham, if you had a grandfather like his, and a father like his, and a grandmother like Fatima, I would have praised you. But where are you and where is Zainul Abidin? Hisham ibn Abdul Malik, he tells his soldiers to apprehend Farazdaq. And they throw him in prison. He was in prison for that. Imam Zainul Abidin, he received word that the great poet Farazdaq had been detained and he had been imprisoned. Imam Zainul Abidin, he sends him a letter when he was in prison. A letter, and in the letter he said, Ya Farazdaq, نصرتنا بلسانك فاقبل هذه الهدية مني. Oh Farazdaq, you supported Ahlul Bayt with your tongue, accept this humble gift from me. He sent him 12,000 dirhams, which is about 40 to 50,000 US dollars today. The purchasing power at that time was in the hundreds of thousands. Because he was detained, he can't support his family anymore, so he gives him enough to support his family and even the next generation. Farazdaq responds to the letter of Imam Zainul Abidin. Farazdaq says, Ya ibn Rasulillah, ما نصرتك للدنيا ولكن للحق والآخرة. Oh Imam, I didn't compose that poetry seeking the pleasures of dunya. I recited that poem to establish the truth and to secure my abode in the hereafter. So he says, please take the money back. Imam Zainul Abidin sends him a final letter and he says, Ya Farazdaq, نحن أهل بيت إذا أعطينا شيئا لا نسترجعه. Oh Farazdaq, we Ahlul Bayt, when we give something, we never take it back. This was Imam al-Sajjad. When people ask, what did Zainul Abidin contribute? He contributed more than we can imagine. Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, after the martyrdom of his father, before we even get to that, there is a very touching moment between Imam Zainul Abidin and Imam al-Hussein. There's a moment where Imam al-Hussein farewells his son. You can imagine how difficult that moment was. Imam Zainul Abidin, he says in a famous hadith, that when my father embraced me for the last time, before he entered the battlefield to make his final sacrifice, he whispered something to me. He gave me his final message. He said to me, "O my son, إياك وظلم من لا يجد عليك ناصرا إلا الله." O my son, beware of oppressing someone who has no helper other than Allah. Isn't that the condition of Imam al-Hussein? He had no one but Allah on that day. Isn't that the condition of our brothers and sisters around the world, in South Lebanon, in Iran? But you know what? If Allah is on your side, it doesn't matter who is against you. And this is where the strength of Ahlul Bayt came. Even when they were in shackles and chains, they held their heads up high. They walked with dignity and honor. It is said that when they reached Sham, you know, we have a narration where someone asked Imam Zainul Abidin, what was the most difficult part of your life? You would think that he would have said Karbala. But the Imam alayhi salam, whenever he was asked about the most difficult moments, he would say, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham. What happened to us in Sham was the most difficult. Sahal ibn Sa'ad as-Sa'idi, one of the companions of the Prophet, he says, one year I was traveling to Jerusalem. I had planned to go to Jerusalem, and I was passing by Damascus. I passed through Sham. When I entered the city was decorated. The city was in celebration. There were drums pounding. There was an atmosphere of joy and jubilation. And I wondered to myself, Sahel says, I wondered to myself, do the people of Sham have an Eid that I am not aware of? He says, I saw two men conversing. And I went to them and I asked them, أَلِأَهْلِ الشَّامِ عِيدٌ لَا نَعْرِفُهُ. Do the people of Sham have an Eid that we are not aware of? They say, who are you? قال أنا سهل ابن سعد الساعدي رأيت رسول الله وسمعت حديثا. He tells them that I am Sahal ibn Sa'ad as-Sa'idi. I am a companion of the Prophet. I saw the Prophet when he was alive. I heard the ahadith of the Prophet. What is happening? They say to him, نراك غريبا يا سهل ليت السماء أطبقت على الأرض. O Sahal, we are surprised that the sky is not raining blood. We are astonished that the earth is not quaking beneath our feet. He says to them, why? What has happened? They say to Sahal, هذا رأس الحسين. هذا رأس الحسين قد أهدي من أرض العراق. They say to him, O Sahal, that is the head of Hussein. They brought it from Iraq. Sahal, he says, the head of Hussein? Hussein, the grandson of Rasulullah, where can I find the head? They say to him, go to Bab al-Sa'at, go to the main city gate. You will see prisoners there. And you will find the head of Hussein on a spear. Sahal, he says, I walked among the crowd. He says, I saw a caravan of women and children in shackles and chains. I saw women and children sitting on camels without saddles. He says, I saw a man holding a spear, but there was no lance on the spear. There was a head on that spear, and that head was أشبه الناس برسول الله. He says, I saw a head that resembled Rasulullah that I saw when I was in Medina. He said, I was shocked. How could it be that this is being celebrated? He said, I looked at the faces of those women and children. I looked at those broken-hearted women and children. He says there was one young lady that looked particularly distraught. He says, I went to this young lady who was in shackles and chains. And I said to her, Ya Jariya man anti. I asked her, oh young lady, who are you? قالت أنا سكينة بنت الحسين. She says, I am Sakina, the daughter of Hussein. I said to her that you're the daughter of Abu Abdullah. He says to her, O Sukaina, I am at your service. What can I do for you? Do you know what she said to him? She said, Ya Sahal. He says, I am Sahal ibn Sa'ad al-Sa'idi. I am a companion of your great grandfather. She said, Ya Sahal, can you ask the man who's holding the head of my father? Can you ask him to move away from us? I said to her, why? She says, because I don't want the strange men of Sham to look at us. And as long as the head is near us, these men are staring at the daughters of Rasulullah. We feel exposed. Sahal, he says, I went to the man and I paid him 400 dirhams to move the head of Hussein away from the women and the children. He said, I came back and I saw an adult male. I went to him and I was told that that is Ali ibn al-Hussein Zayn al-Abidin. I went to him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, I am Sahel ibn Sa'ad al-Sa'idi. What can I do to help you? قال يا سهل هل عندك ثوب عتيق. He says, Sahel, do you have an old rag? Do you have an old garment? Sahel says, Ya ibn Rasulullah, you come from a family that only gives away that which is new. Why are you asking me for an old rag? قال حتى أضعه تحت الجامعة فإنها أكلت عنقي. He says, I want a rag because for weeks, for many days, these shackles have been around my neck. And the shackles are cutting the flesh of my neck. Sahel, he says, I brought a rag for Imam Zainul Abidin. I gave it to him. I was looking at him. The moment he raised the shackle, I saw blood streaming down the neck of Zainul Abidin. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك وأناخت برحلك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. Everyone together. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أصحاب أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
حسين 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 حسين.
Sham, oh Sham, Sham, oh Sham, Sham, oh Sham, Sham, oh Sham, Sham, oh Sham. Oh, fourth Imam, oh, you have answered. Oh, fourth Imam, oh, you have answered. The most difficult time was in Sham. Sham, oh, Sham, Sham, oh, Sham, Sham, oh, Sham, oh. Oh, grandfather, what should we tell you of the hardships and cruelties we suffered? We were taken as displays in the street, your family ill-treated and slandered. Oh, grandfather, if you could only, oh, grandfather, if you could only witness how we were abused in Sham, Sham. Oh, Sham, Sham, oh, Sham. The women and children tormented by the image of heads on the spears. Their faces and heads were uncovered, their innocent faces in tears. Oh, grandmother, if you could only, oh, grandmother, if you could only witness how we were helpless in Sham, Sham. Oh, Sham, Sham, oh, Sham. Our little Ruqayya had suffered. She longed to return to Medina. After Karbala, Kufa, and then Sham, she yearned for her sister Fatima. Oh, little Ruqayya, we miss you. Oh, little Ruqayya, we miss you. You died as a prisoner in Sham, Sham, oh, Sham, Sham, oh, Sham. Oh, Uncle Abbas, our defender, we were left without any protection. Your courage and strength would have saved us from the tyrants who imposed affliction. But the enemies brutally killed you. But the enemies brutally killed you. We were imprisoned here in Sham, Sham, oh, Sham, Sham, oh. Oh, my courageous auntie Zainab, the religion of Islam was woken. Your sermons brought tears to the people because of the words that were spoken. Oh, Rasulullah, if you could only, oh, Rasulullah, if you could only listen to the way she spoke in Sham, Sham. Sham, oh Sham. Our beloved fourth Imam Sajjad, we pray you take this as a token from the love in our hearts for you, Sajjad. These letters and words have been written. Oh, Bibi Zainab and Ruqayya, oh, Bibi Zainab and Ruqayya, invite us to meet you in Sham, Sham, oh Sham, Sham, oh Sham. Oh, fourth Imam, oh, you have answered. Oh, fourth Imam, oh, you have answered. The most difficult time was in Sham. Hussein, 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 Hussein.
Sign of sign. 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 Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein, 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 Hussein. Ya Hussein, 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 Hussein. Allahu Akbar, this is the call of Ali Akbar for a salat. Allahu Akbar, Ali Akbar for a salat. Ali Akbar for a salat. You be the witness, he has the surah. You be the witness, surah. He has the seerah of Mustafa. Hussein, 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 Hussein. Forgive me, Mawla, I am the one who severed your access to Al-Qamar. Forgive me, Mawla, I am the one who severed your access to Al-Qamar. Severed your access to Al-Qamar. Hurri ya Hayy, you are the free one. Hurri ya Hayy, you are the free one. In both the dunya and akhirah. Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, ya Hussein, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina. Oh Aqa, let me go fetch some water for thirsty children from Al-Furat. Oh Aqa, let me go fetch some water for thirsty children from Al-Furat. Oh, will you come back, Ya Qamar Hashim? Oh, will you come back, Qamar Hashim? Or will this be to your al-wida? Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Hussein, Husseina, ya Hussein, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein. Oh Father Aina, oh Father Aina, this is your daughter, this is Sakina. Oh Father Aina, oh Father Aina, this is your daughter, this is Sakina. This is your daughter, this is Sakina. My heart is broken, my wounds are open. My heart is broken, my wounds are open. Oh Ammu Abba Siba Wafa. Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Hussein, Husseina, everyone. Hussein. You are the martyr we venerate, your tragedy we commemorate. You are the martyr we venerate, your tragedy we commemorate. Your tragedy we commemorate. We are the Shia, we are your Ummah. We are the Shia, we are your Ummah. We are the students of Karbala. Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, ya Hussein, Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein, Hussein, Hussein, Hussein, Hussein, Hussein, Hussein, Hussein. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
وتجزيرا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك وجدك وأبيك وأمك وأخيك. السلام عليك يا تسعة المعصومين من ذريتك وبنيك. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا صاحب العصر والزمان. الأمان 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 من فتنة زمان. السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان وإمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.